Hey everyone, my name is Jasmine Ortiz. I am the founder and CEO of Keep It Jasmine. I'm also the host of The Jasmine Ortiz Show. I am so honored and grateful to have been invited here to be on Artist Uncut. Shout out to Cliff, founder and CEO of Miser Media, and shout out to Jonathan with Radio Pushers for inviting me here to be a part of this visual podcast experience. So, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background on our wonderful guest today. Today, we're going to be talking to DaCyfer. He is incredibly versatile and multi talented. He's an artist, producer, engineer, and entrepreneur, and we'll get more in detail about that a little bit later. So, originally, DaCyfer has roots in Houston, Texas, but now he has a global reach with his home base in Europe, and he has mastered everything from hip hop, trap, house, neo soul, EDM, pop, you name it. He has had a role in that genre. So, a little something for everything. I love that so much. And as owner and founder of Cold Current Music, he's not just a performer, but a creator at heart and wants to elevate the experience of the artists around him on the label. Welcome to Artist Uncut, DaCyfer. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hey, welcome. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Thank you for having me on the show. Get to know a little bit more.
Absolutely. I hope I did you justice. How was that intro?
Oh, that was awesome. It caught my breath for a second. You see, I was tongue twisted in the beginning because I was still absorbing those nice words.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Much kindness.
So to get right into it, what can you share with the Artist Uncut audience about who you are as an artist and where you're at in your career right now?
Well, as for the artist side of things, like you did on the introduction, yes, I'm a businessman, I'm a producer, I'm an engineer, I'm an artist. As for the artist, DaCyfer, which most of the world knows me by, only business associates call me by my Christian name. Well, DaCyfer is on the journey right now in the hip hop world, expanding a little bit more in the EDM as well as in the electronic. Over here in Europe, where I'm based out of, which is Munich, Germany, the European market is just as any other continent is different. Yes, they do attract and like hip hop, but they are more experimentation. I don't like to compare. I just see it as music is so many different genres. Just accept them as it goes.
That's a really interesting point. I think something that a lot of American audiences don't know very well is what the European music scene is like. I mean, you can see
True.
such a huge difference in the music culture just with shows and events like Eurovision happening. The amount of variety and the specificity and the different acts that compete in Eurovision is so out of the box from what we're used to
Right.
here in the American mainstream. So that's a really interesting take. How has that influenced what you're bringing into your next projects?
Well, my next projects was your upcoming, of course, influenced a lot by me being and living in Europe, also embracing and getting to know diverse cultures by being in a central point within a central part of Europe. Almost basically every country that touches onto Germany, is only a stone's throw away. Within 2 hours, I'm like in Czechoslovakia. In 2 hours, I'm in Austria. In 3 hours, I'm in Switzerland. In 4 hours, I'm in France. So all these different cultures, are like in transaction, in transcending, and these boundaries are basically no longer there. And because of this borderlessness, living in Europe also, I feel brought about a more borderless also in the music culture and also the culture in general.
That's such a good comparison too. Being able to live in the EU and having that kind of free travel between all these different countries and vastly different cultures. That's incredible. I can't wait to go back to Europe again sometime soon. Really cool array of cultures out there.
Hey, we
So
welcome you back anytime.
thank you. I actually have visited Germany once. I did a homestay there when I was 14. I was in Cologne and a couple small towns outside of it.
Word, word. It's nice up north as well. I'm just based down here in Bavaria because, I just felt this part of Germany was more well-rounded for me to live in. But I've expanded all the way to the north of Germany, out of my local area, over to the UK, as well as over to France, also going more eastward over to Croatia and over to Greece, events of that nature, festivals, events, and so forth. And like we were talking about in the beginning part, The culture of an American event versus a European event, I do not really want to compare, but I just find that it's more energetic on this side. And
Hmm.
people, regardless of your name, your status. If you're doing good music, they hear that, they accept that, they rock with you, and don't sit back on the wall as like, okay, you're not in the top 100, so, we just turn our shoulder to you. That's one big difference here. You can easily bring a commanding with good music and good performance and build up a solid foundation and base, fan base within Europe when you're talented.
I think that's incredible, kind of noting the slight difference in culture there too in the music industry, because everyone can kind of attest who's been in the music industry in the US that it can be cutthroat. It's a hard business. And being able to really feel validated and seen and develop that fan base organically based on your talent as the main focus, I mean, I think that's everyone's dream right there, being able to harness the energy of their talent, share that with an audience and have it really resonate, because that can be super hard in the US because you have all these barriers to entry, marketing dollars and the audience that you're putting it in front of and certain things like that. But it's different.
Right. In sense, it's basically the same, but there's an aura of how the acceptance of the people are. Good question, which I find very interesting as being an expat living in Germany and living in Munich. Well, 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, the question is always asked, where do you come from? And when I say I'm from Houston, Texas, then it's like, okay, well, Houston doesn't no, and I don't have no basis there. Living outside of Europe, being based in Munich, located in Munich, right? I have built up something here. But when people look and they say, oh, you're American, you're from Houston, Texas, let me scour the streets of Houston and find out about you, then they come up with zero. But when they scour the streets of Munich, then they realize, like, wow, this guy is in everybody's pockets, in everybody's thoughts, on
Yeah.
everybody's phone. Who is this? And that makes a difference when you are a foreigner living in a different country, building up something, rather as being at home with families and friends in your neighborhood and having them in your corner to build something up.
That's a really good point too, and a difference to be noted, because you can plant seeds in a million different plots of land, right? You can plant as
Word.
many seeds as you want. It's about where those roots take hold and where something
True.
really begins to blossom. And it seems like for you, Munich was that place. And it's okay if Houston is just where you go back to see your old friends and family and walk down memory lane. I mean, I feel the same way with the holidays coming up. I grew up in the Northeast, between New York City and Pennsylvania, and I live in Miami now. I've been here 6 years. I feel like I've really planted seeds and developed roots here. And this feels like
Right.
my home now. So I have so many people that I love and care about back where I grew up, but this is where I'm blossoming now into the next part of my life. So I think there's something to be said about being able to get out of your comfort zone and really grow in a new space. That just informs so much more creativity of your work and your inspiration moving forward.
Thank you. You summed it up in some good words, but exactly so. Exactly so.
And now, speaking of creativity, I want to get into your head a little bit more about what's coming for you in 2025. So, what are some new goals and priorities that you've set yourself to expand your brand and elevate the experience for your audience in the coming year?
Well, there's 3 things they say you're supposed to keep to yourself. You know, that's your finances, your personal life, and your next moves. So
Oh,
I try to give a little bit of insight there, without being so direct, but not too vague. But yes, I do have some more highlights coming up in the coming year. I have 3 EPs planned, 4 collaborations,
ooh, okay.
6 singles to follow up on those as well between the times. Working as well with a group that we are founding. It's called Cellar Dwellers Productions. It's a collaboration of engineers, producers, songwriters from all across the world, from La Familia, Reunion, France, Ireland, Croatia. I as well here in Germany. 2 people in the U.S. And we just coming together as a collaboration and seeing how we can bring about a vibe, bring about, a creation, inspiration, throw it all in a pot, cook, and we see what comes about that. But there are some interesting things on the table from Cellar Dwellers. And as for DaCyfer in 2025, I want to come more out of my comfort zone, which I've been achieving over my last three EPs. And at the present moment, I'm moving a little bit more. I won't say softer, but the songs are going to get a little bit more, smoother. They're still danceable. They're still dance club, but I want to reach out for my sisters. I want to reach out to the women. It was a good time when LL was singing about "I Need Love." Or Tupac singing about "Dear Mama." What didn't happen to the
Yeah.
game today? We can express things of, niceness and kindness to a woman without, speaking of other ways and terms in a rhyme, and giving appreciation this direction. So, for the ladies, it's going to be an EP out there with two, three songs dedicated only for you because you are appreciated. Remember those words, coming from DaCyfer. Continuing on with the journey of building DaCyfer up as an artist. 2025 is going to be a real, I believe, impactful year for me within my musical journey, also within my business journey as an artist and as well as an entrepreneur, because we have a new label on the market, which is designed from artists for artists. And we know that this is going to be a groundbreaking and not just words that are spoken, but actions that will be done.
Absolutely. And y'all heard it here first. 2025 is going to be a big year for DaCyfer. And 2025, DaCyfer is for the ladies. I'm excited for that EP. I cannot wait to hear those vocals that you got going on. That's exciting. And I really like the foresight that you have in developing your project in these different areas. So you're not just thinking about what can I do to release music. You're thinking about I'm releasing music as DaCyfer. I'm working on this project with Cellar Dwellers. I'm also working on Cold Current Music as my label. So you're really moving ahead in several different lanes at the same time. So how do you stay focused and prioritize what needs to happen first, second, third, fourth, for all these different avenues of creativity that you're pursuing?
A whiteboard, an organization.
Good advice. That's good advice right there.
Seriously, I work with a whiteboard. I write down what needs to be done by looking at those, then set up a prioritization. And it's only 24 hours in a day. So, I pace myself accordingly to make sure that each one of these gets my attention and gets things done, and
Yeah.
move forward and moves forward in that aspect. You can't, what I can take care of today is good because I never know what tomorrow brings. Because I'm so hungry, I'm looking for all things and all aspects. Tomorrow is always new opportunities as well as sometimes new obstacles, new hurdles. But what I can take and get accomplished today is what I take upon, to move forward.
And why wait to tomorrow to do something that you can finish today? I
Right.
feel that too. I think it takes a lot of discipline to be successful in this career because, especially as independent artists or as entrepreneurs like yourself, we're wearing so many hats at the same time. We're wearing producer, songwriter, content creator, marketing executive, CEO hats all at the same time. And we have
Sales,
to
merchandising.
we have to make sure we're not tripping up over ourselves. And you know what? I got my handy dandy whiteboard right here too. I had to flash it real quick. I'm not lying about it, but it's so important to stay visually and mentally organized. So you mentioned something about tomorrow could bring a new opportunity, tomorrow could bring a new obstacle. Can you share with us what is one of the biggest obstacles that you've had to overcome and how you moved past it in pursuing this dream?
Self was the biggest obstacle. I've learned a long time ago in life, truly, words of wisdom here. If somebody won't let you through the middle, take a step to the side, and then find your own lane. If you work fast enough, you work hard enough, you will surpass them. When you get back over, then they'll be looking at you like, how did you get ahead? So this was always something I knew that I needed to work harder, and to get to certain places, not because it was laid in my path or whatever, but I just knew that I could never go through the middle. All right.
Mm.
So, looking at it from that perspective, that made me reorganize or revamp or relook at things to understand which journey and which path then I choose to get to the mountaintop, you know? Somebody decides to go up the West Pass. I decide to follow the street up. Well, we all aiming for the mountaintop.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that also speaks to something that's a universal truth for us in the music industry. Everyone's taking their own path. And everyone I've spoken to who is wildly successful, like coming to do a master class or something for students in the music world, has always said, try not to compare yourself to the person next to you,
Of
because
course.
your journey and your place in this time that you're in right now is different than theirs. You don't know if 5 years from now you'll be doing better than they are, and they might come to you for help. So it's important that you maintain those connections and you maintain that humble nature and humility that you really need to form those connections and bring them into the future.
True words on that. And like you said, everybody has a different background from where they come from. Everybody has a different perception of things. Everybody puts it together in a different way, and then you sum that up and find your journey to that. And right about now, when people are asking me because of how resont and things are moving right about now, hey, I'm in the HOV. Come and jump on in the bus. I got 6 more rooms at the back because this is a 12-seater. So, anybody want to, we're in the HOV, high occupancy vehicle lane right now. We're not in traffic.
Exactly. I love that. I love that. So, one of your recent releases, really exciting, Don't Make Me Act a Fool. I know this was a little bit ago, but what has inspired that song for you and how did you prepare for its release?
Well, it brought me back to a moment. It was a moment in time that was a passing moment that just stood out and stayed in my mind. Say just a confrontation amongst men that didn't actually mean anything. And those words were said, which was actually the chorus. It stuck it to my
Mm,
brain. And I always wanted to be able to express that conversation in a lyrical form, but also I wanted my whole overall encompass of who DaCyfer is to be shown.
mm.
So with that song, the scratches that you hear are actually myself. The cuts
Wow.
here, the breaks here are actually myself. This is why some people's like, well, hey, but there's only one verse on this song, but there's a lot of good hook, but there's no second verse that follows up. Because the second verse is actually the intentional of highlighting the DJ. Let's go back to the MC and the DJ. Remember who highlighted the MC? The
Yeah,
DJ, and vice versa. So because I don't have a DJ, I am a DJ. I decided to do that myself and encompass that in a 352, I think, or 353 song for the general public to let them see. It's not just me holding the mic; it's me behind two turntables as well.
absolutely. I love that. I love being able to incorporate several of your skill sets into one release, one production. I think as creative people, it's bad to put ourselves into one little box, right? That's why you're transcending so many different genres, so many different avenues that you're pursuing success, because that's really where we flourish. We don't want to be held down to one role, one
Right.
position. Like we're not just the quarterback. We're the whole defensive line, right? Like
True.
we're the whole team. So if we're stuck in one role, like yeah, you might want the fame and the glory of the quarterback, but you still have to position all the plays for the rest of the teammates.
Think about it back in the day, I mean, let's look at some of these greats or some of these good acoustic players. Prince, they say he played 30 something instruments. Even if it was bongos, congos, but he still played 30 something instruments, piano, guitar, bass, and so forth. But on our end nowadays in the modern world, what are we doing? We're doing the engineering, we're doing the mixing, we're doing the mastering. So we are multi-talented and multifaceted also in that aspect. Now add in if you could bring in some of this acoustic side, this more player side also into that, then you start bridging a more, I feel, bigger package appealing that this is not just somebody who writes lyrics and spits rhymes.
1000%. And speaking to that, what about your creative process do you think makes you unique and sets you apart from other artists or other creatives?
Number one and foremost, I would just say being open to my surroundings. That's number one, first and foremost. Once I can be open to my surroundings, I'll be able to absorb. Once I'm able to absorb, then I can be able to sort out. And from that, I get my feeling, I get my vibe, which tends and leads me into the directions which I feel or according for the moment of my frame of mind. As I was speaking earlier on, for example, I would say the EP that I'm making for women and the two single as well, because I want to incorporate them more in and highlight them and raise them up. Well, my frame of mind at that moment was and still is just being free. so
Yeah, absolutely.
so my lyrics and everything free was that what I absorbed from the women around me, not just mother, not just a partner, not just aunts or the neighbors across the street, but women in general.
Yeah.
So that flows into these songs, which are these creative works.
I love that. I love that you write with intention. You create with intention. I think that's something that does set you apart and that allows you to have a clear vision and focus, hone in on where you're aiming for with each release, which is really important.
But it's nothing really new. It might be revamped, but let's go back even before maybe some of us were born. Music was always conceptual. This
Mhm.
album was made with this concept in mind. We got to a certain point where it's like, I drop this, I drop that, I drop that, I throw these together. I got 10, I got 12, I got 20 tracks. And it's like, let's follow the red line through the album. And I'm trying to, for me, that's one of my aims, that my EPs are conception. But each conception is connected to the prior. So as you continue on by EP3, EP4, EP5, and you reflect back to EP1, then you'll follow the whole journey through. It's Star Wars from beginning to end with unlimited story.
I
It's
love
never
that. Yeah. I think that's also really cool. I love when artists are able to have a through line either throughout all of their discography, throughout a couple albums, throughout a series of releases. I think that just makes the listener experience more interactive, engaging for the audience too.
true.
So, also as an artist, I know we tend to be our biggest critics. Can you share some parts of your career, your process where you really excel, and then also some things where you want to see improvement?
Well, the creative process, and I would say the engineering process, is where I excel. And these are a lot of things that can be learned, a lot of things that can be repeated, a lot of things that can be, how you say, enhanced upon. Right. As for the creative process, this is where I see myself, because I'm a harsh critic of myself. You can be better. Even when you've sat there and you gave your best, gave your all, this is top dog, top notch. You get to the mixing, you get to the master, and you're ready for the release. And then you listen to it 2 months after you release. You're like, I needed to be a little shorter there. I needed to be a little bit here, and so forth. That's how I see in my creative process. So from each project to the next project, I incorporate those adjustments and optimizations so that the next time when I'm there, these obstacles, these hurdles that made those minuscule mistakes in the first one won't appear in the second one. And just keep optimizing that 3 and 4 would just get better and better. From the quality of the content of the music to the productions itself, all out of just these two hands here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like we were talking about, having many hats that you have to wear. So, as far as something that you want to improve on, what does that look like in your future as a creative?
As a creative, more songwriting. That would
Mm.
be the most more expression of myself in lyrical form, and not just in instrumental form. I love creating instrumentals, excuse me, songs, and then later comes the lyrical. But at first, it's an expression of myself within the journey of the song, within the arrangement. So, it sometimes it's a hurdle for me to get across to add lyrics to the song, because I just feel it's accomplished as is.
That's really cool of a perspective because I know that a lot of the other songwriters or artists that I am friends or collaborators with, every single person has a different order of events in which they complete to make a song. For me, it's almost always every single time either a lyrical or thematic concept, then maybe some melody notes I'm throwing out there, then I mold the lyrics to fit the vibe of the melody that I
Hmm.
end up crafting. Usually I'll write a song with random sort of lyrics to create the melody, and then when I know what theme I want to talk about, I can go back and comb through everything. And then if anything, for me, I feel like the production elements are what I work with after I kind of know what direction I want the melody to be in.
Okay.
Or working backwards, if I'm working with a producer or if I produced a track already, then I'll top line it and kind of mold the form and arrange the song as I'm going from there. That's really cool. I
Right.
like hearing about your process too, because I know a lot of the people who were super big on production or instrumentalists that I know like to start that way too. So it's interesting. Like I think we lead with our strengths and then we allow them to support the areas that we want to improve upon, like you were saying.
Truly, truly, truly.
So, which of your songs from your catalog could you see being in TV shows, movies, video games, like sync licensing stuff?
Bad man, bad seed.
Okay, all right. And
Put
why is
me
that? Why is that?
if they listen and put me on the next GTA.
You better reach out to Rockstar Games right now. They're still developing that thing.
That's what I'm talking. I'm trying to hit them up, but nobody's answering my mails. You got
Man,
a
we got to
number?
do something about that.
We got to do something about that. No, but it's just a nice bass track, for your Jeeps, for your hoopties, for the club. It's a nice boomer with a nice hook, intentional lyrical flow, coming basically very, hard on the lyrics, very heavy on the lyrics with the whole sound, being kind of dark, but uplifting at moments, and the vocal arranging is like a waterfall. It's basically always cascading up and cascading down, and then with certain breaks that just brings about intensity. I find that an overall packaging also by performing, it's like the lead up before I do the last track, which is Don't Make Me Act a Fool, because by Don't Make Me Act a Fool, after I do verse one, I pull some members of the crowd on the stage with me and I let them act a
Mm,
fool. And I let them act a
yeah,
fool while I cut and I scratch, maybe the last 3, 4 minutes on out. Bad C brings the intensity and the heat for them to be ready for this moment. That
I
they
love
could
that.
just let it all out after my 15, 20 minute set.
Man, I want to be there. I want to let it all out. That sounds so much fun. Okay, I'm on the next flight to Germany. So, we were talking a little bit earlier about your latest endeavor, Cold Current Music. Can you talk a little bit more about that and some of the artists you're working with as a label?
Well, sure. Current Music is the name of the label. We have been around since 2019, kicked into gear in 2023, got our stuff together, dusted off the dust, got our collars creased, and now we're out for business. Star artists on the label, you have Nodachi, you have Steve McQueen, you have myself, DaCyfer. We're also doing collaborations with other artists at the moment through NDAs, can't talk too much about. Same as well. We have a couple releases on the headline with Major. I can talk on one of them, which is Sony for next year. And there was no non-disclosure without using the name, so I could drop. I could
There
drop
you
that.
go.
And yeah, so in cold current music is basically not basically. It is first and foremost a record label. It is created by artists for artists. We've been there. We've done that. We've hit these hurdles. We know what it's about.
So
You
you
know you need a
understand
singer.
like firsthand the
Right.
pain points and where you find success and what things to
Ready.
avoid, what things to
Not
encourage.
exactly from the development side to the understanding side to tutorials to even the understanding what is a UPC and what does that mean.
Exactly.
And releasing here and so forth. Okay, now I need a cover art. Okay, how do I go about here getting my music copyrighted? Okay, what's the next stage and so forth. So through our development program, our artist development program, I basically have made a foundational line from development all the way to your post release, along the way with everything you need in between, which is artworks, which is mixing, which is mastering from the AI side as well as hand curated. And
That's
this is
really incredible. And I'm sure you're providing so much guidance for those artists too.
as well. We have monthly one-on-ones. Of course, I'm a little bit strung out, but for those artists where I can reach out to, hey, schedule a call. It's in my diary, it's in my calendar. I'm there for you.
That's
right?
incredible.
And as we move forward, like I say, co-current music is basically the center of a echo structure as the other modules are being built on with digital branding and so forth, with Spotify curations and so forth. All of this is the center point and will be the initial foundation to a bigger picture that we hope to be able to scale out in about 3 to 5 years.
I love that. I love that you have the vision. You have a 3 to 5 year plan. I mean, it seems like 2025 is going to be a big year for you, and I'm so excited to follow along with all of it. So, I have one more question for you about you, DaCyfer. When you look in the mirror and reflect on yourself, on your vision, what do you see and who are you right now?
Right now, I think I'm the best interpretation of myself since years, to be very honest. There were many times when I doubted on myself. There was many times when I took the negative out of the negative instead of the positive. I've learned to re-look at things in a different way, and I just feel I'm at my best self right about now for anything that is in my way. Not in a negative sense, but in positive sense. You know, there are always doors. Doesn't mean that that door that's in front of you is something of bad nature. You know, so I just see that I'm at my best self for whatever decisions, whatever judgments needs to be done in order to get to where I feel I need to be.
Great answer. And I have one final question for you. What has been your favorite part of being on the Artist Uncut visual podcast experience today? Be 100% honest with me.
Hey, the narrator, hey, she got it going on. Nah,
Yeah.
just being open and honest and the most thing I would say is the intentional questions which were researched rather good to be able to have a honest conversation and not something that's just on top. And that's what I
Yeah.
love about the narration that came from you. You know, the questions you asked were meant and not something that was just jotted down. Much appreciated.
Thank you for being here today with us. Can you spell out your Instagram handle so everyone listening can follow along with you too?
Yo, definitely, that's DACYFER_CCM.
Awesome. And that's you we can find you on YouTube, Spotify with DaCyfer, right?
You can find me everywhere. Just go to Google and type it in. I'm Google ranked, baby.
Absolutely. Yes, you are. I was on that Google page and I saw all your nice pictures. I saw your social media links. So y'all better look him up and follow along for 2025. For everyone tuning in around the world, my Instagram is I am Jasmine Ortiz. IamJasmineOrtiz. Thank you so much to everyone for having me on Artist Uncut. Shout out to Miser Media. Shout out to Jonathan at Radio Pushers. Thank you so much for listening and hope y'all have a good week.
Peace.